Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be another really exciting try on style video. I don't do these all the time because I don't always have that many new products, but because I celebrated Hanukkah, I got some gifts and things like that. And a good friend of mine got me a very exciting gift. She got me the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill, one of the Vault eyeshadow palettes. This one is the one in... It's really interesting because, oh, there it is. I was gonna say it doesn't say the name of it. It's called Dark Magic. It's the one with all of the really gorgeous green and silver and blue shades, which is so fun. And it's something that I don't have as much of in my collection. So I'm really excited that she got me this one because even though like, I certainly would have gravitated towards this one, but I probably would have chosen the purple one just because I love purples, but I have purples in my collection. I don't have as many of these type of shades. So this is really exciting and I'm really interested to try it because there have been such mixed things going on with these palettes in general. And some people have had really good experiences, some people not so much. So I'm really excited to try it. I don't know that I would have bought it myself just because of all of the drama. So I'm very excited to try it. And I give her mad props. I told her this in person, but I was really impressed that she tried to actually pick out an eyeshadow palette for me because I have such a big collection of eyeshadow palettes. So she did well because she actually found one that I don't have. So I'm gonna give this one a try today. I'm definitely gonna do some type of like grungy green look, I'm pretty sure, because you know, I really want to try that shade Potion. I've heard, you know, again, mixed things about this palette. I will say that I have swatched this and the swatches seemed pretty good, so we'll just have to see. I am going to prime my eyes. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to prime my eyes, and I am going to set it with powder, which I don't always do. I can't say I don't normally do. Well, I don't normally, but there are certain palettes where I do that. And in particular, I do that with shades like from the Subculture palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, like, you know, with shadows that are very pigmented and more like pigments that could be a little bit more challenging to work with. And so I'll continue to try this out, but I'm not gonna work against it. You know, I'm not gonna try and work against this palette. I wanna try and make it work. So, you know, if I do that and I feel like I could maybe give it a try and do it without setting my base, then I'll try that. But I just have a feeling that these would blend a little bit more easily, especially some of these green tones. I think that they would work better if I tried on a set base. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to prime my eyes and I will be right back. I'm actually gonna go ahead and set my base with the shade Poof because that actually is a perfect shade for that, which normally I feel like I don't need something like that in there because if anything, I wouldn't mind like a vanilla, you know, type of shade to highlight underneath the brow bone, you know, so a shade that is lighter than my skin tone, that would be highlighting. Obviously that wouldn't work for every single skin tone, but I'm just saying if I have that in a palette, I'd like that. But a shade like this, again, I don't always, and I don't usually set my eyeshadow base anymore. And so a shade like this doesn't really come in handy, but in a palette like this, where I feel like it may need that, that actually is probably going to be a good shade to have in this palette. So I think I'm gonna try that one and we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna take the shade Poof and just kind of set it so that it's not tacky at all. Because I don't want these shadows to cling, you know, I want them to be able to blend out easily. And I have heard that these perform a little bit more like pressed pigments, you know, just like a lot of the shades from what I hear from the James Charles palette, which I didn't get and I don't really have any interest in getting, to be quite honest with you. I mean, first of all, it's a ginormous palette. I feel like I have a lot of the shades that are in there, honestly. Even some of the colorful ones, I feel like I have those shades. Still feeling a little tacky, so I need to really pack this on. But one of the complaints that I heard that made a lot of sense to me with that one, I know this is sort of off topic, but is that in that palette, some of the shades are like pressed pigments and some of them are not. And so you have to really like check and see which ones are and which ones aren't so that you can use them the right way. And that's the annoying thing. It's not that they're pressed pigments, it's that some are and some aren't. And that's kind of like, that's a little bit annoying and makes it a pain. So I'm glad that I didn't get it. I'm sure it's beautiful and I'm sure you could create some amazing looks with it. but that just sounds like a lot of work. And I don't mind with a Subculture palette, like knowing that I need to, you know, set my base and that I, you know, need to be a little bit more careful. And I purposely don't use that palette if I'm in a rush. Like if I know that I don't have that much time, I'm not going to use that palette, and that's okay. But, you know, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm going to get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm going to start out with the shade. Shh. I'm going to kind of work the way that I often do, which, you know, is working from lightest to darkest. Sometimes I kind of do the opposite, but that's what I'm going to do today. It's like a greenish brown color, I would say. Definitely very pigmented. And obviously, I mean, I would think this goes without saying, but I will continue to try this, and, you know, I'm not going to be using every single shade in here today. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to try it out and just, you know, I'll let you know how it goes. So you know, I definitely think if you didn't set this base, you'd get a lot more pigment. So I will definitely try it without, and just see how that goes. Not that I'm not getting any pigment, but you can see it's a little more sheer. Like I'm not going easy on this right now. I'm putting on a lot of shadow. I'll let you know when I look up close in the mirror, like if, you know, if I'm getting any fallout. But I'm purposely doing my eyes first so that I don't have to worry about it and I can just pile that shadow on. The shade is kind of like, it's nice. It's definitely green, but, you know, it's a little more of a subtle green, and, you know, it can make kind of like a softer type of look. You know, this palette in general is very, very dark and grungy, but I feel like, you know, you could certainly do a softer look even just within this palette if you just kind of keep it light, but also obviously you can combine it with other palettes. And then I'm going to take the shade Potion, which I'm very excited to try. I'm going to kind of pull it in a little bit too, but also obviously put it in the crease, as you can see. This definitely brings out more green. I like the shadow though. I mean, at least the color. I don't know. We'll see how it performs and everything. Yeah, so I think if I didn't set it, you know, it'd be a little more punchy, but I don't know how the blending would be. So again, I'm gonna have to continue to try this and just see how that goes. I'm torn if I want to take this more green or more grungy, because basically I'm trying to decide if I want to use Inside Job. As you can see, it's much more of like a, you know, just a dark like forest green, or if I want to use Mojo, which is just a darker like green brown. Let me show you what those kind of look like. Oh, they're really pretty, both of them. I think I want to take it more grungy. I'm going to do Mojo, I think. And I'll make that even more targeted. This one is definitely pretty powdery. I don't know about fallout yet, but it's definitely powdery when I put my brush in. I'm not even like, you know, putting it in like crazy, but it's definitely kicking up some powder. I did get a tiny bit of fallout from that, but not too bad. I might add actually a little bit of Inside Job just to add a little bit of brightness, but like not very, very much. I just like press my brush in just a little bit. Just kind of adding a little bit. You're not gonna really even see it that much. Just kind of make it a little more green, I guess. And then I am going to take a tiny bit of this Temptress, which is a black with glitter in it, which I don't usually love. Because I feel like you really don't end up seeing too much of that glitter. And so it's kind of pointless, but that's all right. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit just to deepen it up a little bit more. The outer V there. So just like I predicted, I put that black there. And I mean, Not that I put a lot of it, but I added it on to just kind of like deepen out the outer V there. But I don't see that glitter. So I don't know. I wish palettes wouldn't have that kind of a shade. It's pretty rare that you find one where you actually see the glitter. If you saw my first impression video with the Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream palette, I can link that one up above if you didn't see that. But that one actually has a matte with glitter through it where you really do see that. And, it's not a black. I think sometimes with blacks that does tend to happen. I just feel like with a lot of palettes that have that kind of a shade, you put it on and then maybe you see it, but then once you blend it out, like it kind of just falls away and it disappears. It either falls in your face or it just blends away or whatever. So I'm not usually a fan of that, but it works fine because honestly, I just would prefer a basic black anyway, so it's fine. All right, so now I am going to add on a shimmer, and I always use a glitter glue, so I'm going to do that. And I'm gonna take one of these silvers. I'm trying to decide which silver, so I'll swatch them in just a second and we'll see. And I think that I'm going to use this shimmery green Trickery. I think I'll use that on the lower lash line because I do want to use that shade. And look at me, I'm using most of these shades in here. Like, there'll be like 2 that I didn't use, which is kind of awesome. There isn't like a brighter, like more highlighty shade, but again, I have so many things that I could use, so it's not a big deal. But as far as like, just this palette, there's really nothing in there for that unless you want to use, the lighter of silver or whatever. So let's see. So there's Power Cut and there's Diversion. And they're quite different. I mean, they look a little more similar when you see like in the actual pan. Obviously that's the lighter one. But they're actually much more different than they appear to be. Like this one is like, almost like a pewter, like it does have a little bit of a green in there, I think. And this one's like more of just a pure silver. So I'm gonna use Diversion, this one right here, because it's just a little more unique. I do love a good silver though. I've been using the one from the Sultry palette a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and just try this with just a brush, and I'm not going to wet it, and we'll just see how it goes. And if I have to wet it, I'll wet it, but let's just see how it does on its own. I think I might have to wet this. I don't see a whole lot coming on my brush. Okay, I got some. Okay, there we go. I see it. I do think that I want to see how it looks wet though, because I think that it will be even more intense if I wet it. Yeah, I mean, it is a grungy type of metallic shade, but I definitely like it better wet. So it's definitely not like a super punchy type of metallic. It looked more so on my finger, so I actually want to try and just use my finger a little bit and see if that intensifies it at all. See, it looks much more metallic on my finger, I feel like. I think that does help a little bit, actually. I think maybe these will be better with your finger than with even a wet brush, because that is much brighter. Do you see the difference? I think that does make a big difference, actually. And that doesn't totally bother me, but definitely I know that that bothers some people, so keep that in mind. Not that it didn't look bad the other way, it just wasn't quite as punchy as I wanted it to be. I'd be interested to see how the silver works, if the silver, because the silver is definitely brighter, so I'd be curious to see how that one does. All right, so I'm just going to blend out some of those edges a little bit. I may not even have to add more on my brush. I may just be able to kind of buff that in a little bit. I may take a little bit of, I might take a little bit more of Potion because I feel like I lost some of Potion. I'm gonna have to do a look where I like feature Potion a little bit more because I feel like, you know, with adding some of those darker greens, like I lost it a little bit. Get a little bit more of that back, you see, because I really like that shade. Okay. I'm gonna do my face and I will come back and we can do the lower lash line together. Right, so I finished the rest of my face, and of course I will go ahead and do mascara and stuff after, but if you want to know anything else that I'm wearing, just check the description box. I'll put that all down below, but I want to go ahead and do the lower lash line with you. I just added my highlight as my inner corner, by the way. So I'm going to take this ColourPop liner in the shade Workout. It's just a dark green. I don't know if they have this anymore, so if they don't, I apologize, but you can just use any dark green, or you could use a black, but I just feel like, you know, this will go with the tones really nicely. And I'm gonna kind of smudge it a little bit on the lash line so that I can, you know, smudge that out with the shadow as well. I think I'm gonna mix it's kind of annoying to keep saying that, but and Potion. I'm gonna kind of mix those two and blend it out, and then I'm gonna add in Trickery and just sort of pack that on. Okay, this brush is stained, but it's not dirty, I promise. Okay. And then I'm going to take a more like the actual pencil brush, and I'm going to take Trickery, that dark shimmery green, just to remind you. I'm going to take that and I am going to spray it. Hopefully it'll stick without a glitter glue. I'm just going to kind of put that. All right, just kind of adds a little extra touch. It's nothing like that, you know, noticeable, but it just kind of makes it pop a little more. And I just wanted to use one of the other shades. All right, I'm just gonna add some mascara and I'll be right back. All right, so that's the completed look. Let me just let you see. So for my first experience, I have to say that it was a very positive one. I think you could see that I wasn't struggling to blend. Now, I do notice that because I set that base, I had to build up the shadow a little bit more, but I don't mind that so much if I have less trouble blending. I will try it without setting it just to see if I have a different experience, to see if, you know, if there's more pigment, and if so, if it's more challenging to blend, because I'd rather build it up and then have less trouble blending. That's just my personal preference. So, you know, it's just, you have to kind of learn how to use it, and that's totally fine. But I mean, I love the way that it turned out. I think it's beautiful. I think there are a lot of different looks that I can come up with these shadows, and I'm excited to play more. I'm excited to use the blue in here. You know, I think that, you know, I know that different people have had different experiences, and obviously this was only my first time trying it, but at least from the first time trying it, and I used all but 2 shades in here. I mean, I used all of them except for 2, which is pretty good. Obviously, I haven't used them in different ways, but nevertheless. So it seems like if there are, you know, different batches, if there are, you know, different formulas, I seem to have gotten a good one, at least so far. I will keep you posted. If you want to see a full review on this, then comment down below and let me know. I may or may not. I may just put this, you know, in a beauty blab later on. Same thing with the Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream. I may do a full dedicated review, or I may just add that in a beauty blab later on. So let me know if you have any thoughts on that as far as this palette and or the Dominique Cosmetics one. I know this one is not about that palette, but I just, you know, I'm curious if you have any strong feeling about whether you'd like a dedicated video or if you would rather just kind of see me mention it later on. I will certainly update you and let you know what I think. If you have used this palette, or if you have used other palettes from the Vault collection, definitely let me know down below what your experience has been, because I've seen very mixed things, and at least for the way that I chose to apply them and the way that I did my makeup today, I had a good experience for my first experience. Now I'm kind of curious about the purple one, but I need to keep trying it, so we'll see. If you like this video, please make sure and give it a big thumbs up. That really does help out my channel so much. I post videos every single Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around, and I really hope to see you next time. Bye.